So there we were, back in Victoria on Vancouver Island, and this time around we were staying at the Golden Pointe Resort, which is another delta. If I'm staying at a hotel, it will almost always be a Marriott hotel, and it has the perk of letting me basically rack up the points with Marriott. So we're now at Titanium Elite. No message, but I think somebody's been telling them about the sheer amount of towels that we go through. Do you think they're keeping track? And the upgrades have really been nice, because usually we end up with a really good view that I don't have to pay for. Another really great perk is obviously the lounge. So every Marriott hotel has a different approach to this, whether it's a pantry, but this lounge is wonderful. It's certainly one of the biggest that I've seen this side of the equator. Really great spread of dinner and also breakfasts, and the lounge is complimentary to a specific tier. I know that Marriott Titanium Elite is included, and it gives you a little bit of that vibe of going cruising, even though we were absolutely on land. In my opinion, even though it's a smaller spread than most buffet breakfasts included in hotels, I think it is executed much better. And obviously, because it is aimed at a much smaller audience, you're able to just get things fresh and there's not as much of a line. No, you can't order, eggs the way you want it. But beyond that, spectacularly executed. This time around, I also decided that I was going to see how the spa is. Like most spas, it seems to be run as a franchise, but it was very calm. The therapist that I had was very well trained. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend. They did obviously have tennis courts as well, as you can see here. Not a great fan of exercising in that kind of weather, but lunch, on the other hand, also really well done. Really good. I think I'm just having the best fish and chips I've ever had. So the fish is halibut, super delicious, right? But it's not in the fish, it's not in the chips, it's in the details. So this is like a homemade tartar sauce, and then I've been doctoring my things and stealing the house-made hot sauce that Andrew's got. So I pop that into the ketchup, and then the fish is just amazing. It's just really delicious.
Maybe I should have this.
And I'll say this, she's been such a picky eater that getting her to have some halibut at that restaurant was a godsend. To me, this side of Victoria feels like a completely different city. Less bustling, more calm, more just kind of about enjoying the outside. We had lunch at a local brew pub and I was just ecstatic about the chowder, and then it was a really good salmon plate as well. And really, what's a trip to Victoria without seeing the seals in the bay? Watching the seaplanes arrive was just also really gorgeous. But I went with the next best thing and we grabbed a ride on the water taxi. As you can see, they are a bit loud, but soon you tune it out and you go off on a little jaunt through the harbour. Victoria is also one of the places where you can actually have a floating house. Apparently, before COVID, this was the second most busy airport in BC. Just before we checked out, we wanted to hit the pool. I've got 3. No, definitely isn't. Now, if you're not Australian, you may not appreciate the sheer amount of societal pressure about swimming lessons for your children, but it had gotten to the point where I started getting passive-aggressive notes from Sophia's swim coach about her missing so many swimming lessons while we were away in Canada. So here it is, proof. And then that was the end of the resort life.
You have to give way to traffic already on the bridge.
So how does this work?
This is how we get our milk.
Once we had the milk, we then stopped for eggs. This is pretty much the point at which I decided I was probably going to have to do a separate video just about all of the breweries we'd been to, because Canada has an amazing craft beer culture. And then while we were there, we went to the Sawmill Tap House where... Oh my god, where are you? You just disappeared. You're gone. So, we're going camping. It's snowing. There's no road. Oh dear. It's snowing, it's sleeting, it's raining, it's one of everything.
Close to snowing down there.
Jiggly. Is that our one? If you haven't camped with your spouse before, you should probably practice putting together tents in a private, quiet environment so you don't end up having a domestic. We didn't, because we've been camping lots and lots of times, and we managed not to break the tent, even though it wasn't our tent. So I'm quite pleased with the outcome. There was some debate about how to put the fly up, whether it was the right fly, were we in fact missing bits of the tent, but it all worked out in the end.
This is the top of the tent. This is my Mommy's room. This is Mommy's mattress. And this is Kathy's mattress. And this is my mattress. And all of those sort of stuff. There's all sort of stuff here. This is very nice forest. I'm sure that this is your forest.
We're camping at Nanaimo Lakes. Look at that. It's beautiful. And I realize that I use that word a lot. since we got to Canada. Magnificent, beautiful, spectacular, but what other words? What other words?
The fridge is like 8 degrees. It's like 3 degrees out here.
My favorite things to watch is dudes with fires. They all just get a little bit weird about the flame, and then how do you do it, and poke it, and what goes into it, and how do you cook on it, and I just find it really kind of funny.
Perfect.
We are in a tent.
We're in a tent. Up to about this point, I hadn't realized that we had not taken Sophia camping in a tent before, and that all of the camping we have been doing has been either in a van or a caravan. So she slept fine. I slept fine. Everybody slept fine, except maybe Niles and Raina, because they were really, really, really cold. So we headed back for Easter the next day.
Oh, thank you, Sophia.
Thank
Happy
you.
Easter, Mama.
Thank you.
Is there one for you?
Hey.
The blue one's for me.
Happy Easter. Once we ate enough chocolate, it was time to do the thing that children like most doing. Going to the forestry center. Actually, it was really wonderful. Terrible people. The Easter Bunny was just a little bit creepy, and none of the kids actually wanted to take pictures with it. And at this point, up to this point, I honestly thought I hosted a pretty mean Easter egg hunt. I was wrong. I'm sorry, but nothing is as magical as taking a little tiny steam train around the forestry center. Caboose! I was so excited about this bakery, and then a little bit heartbroken because after I finished all of my shopping, I found out they do not take international cards or credit cards. Basically, it was cash or debit, and I don't have Canadian debit, and I certainly don't have Canadian cash. So I left the food, even though it was beautiful, and walked back home. When we stopped at the Wild Coast Perfumery, it was like being a child again. All of those fantasies about having your own perfume manufacturing place, if they had all come true, every single one of them, this is what they would look like. And so there I was, standing in my childhood fantasy, able to smell and sample and buy. Wonderful.